Hello everyone, welcome to Docthub. I am Dr. Sandeep Patel, founder and CEO at Docthub. And in this podcast, we have invited Dr. Mohit Changani. He is a MS Anatomy and currently working as AGM Medical Affairs at candidly Pharmaceuticals. He has shared a very good insights about medical affairs career in pharmaceutical, what all are different roles, what all are different aspects. If you are a medical graduate, MBBS doctor or a MD or a MS, and if you want to pursue your career in pharmaceutical, this podcast is for you. And let's start. Dr. Mohit Changani, AGM Medical Affairs at candidly Pharmaceuticals. What's your journey? I know you have done MBBS and then MD or no MS Anatomy, right? And you are working as an anatomy assistant professor in medical college, and then you switch your career to pharma sector as a medical advisor, and in that role. How is your journey and what was the dilemma things going on starting? If you can
Before I start, first of all, I'd like to thank Docthub for inviting me for this conversation. And if I talk about my journey, so as you rightly said, I'd been studying in M.P. Medical College. I completed my graduation as well as post-graduation from M.P. Medical College. So after doing my MBBS,
it is in Jamnagar, Gujarat, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So after I did MBBS, I fortunately got an admission into MS Anatomy course in the same college. So I post-graduated from M.P. Medical College, and thereafter I was working in the same medical college as in the Department of Anatomy as a tutor.
Okay.
In the
anatomy
department,
just non-clinical field,
yes,
common journey
as
tutor and assistant professor.
True, as it is the career choice for almost all the anatomists, as you know, some of them. So I was working there as tutor in human anatomy department for somewhere around 1.5 years or so.
Okay.
Afterwards, there was a new college opening up in Junagadh, GMERS Medical College there.
Yeah.
And there was an interview and I appeared for that. And fortunately, I got selected there. Yeah. So I moved there and joined that medical college as assistant professor there in anatomy. So I was there in GMERS Medical College, Junagadh for somewhere around 3.5 years or so.
Okay.
So now the whole thing, like again, GMERS is a semi-government sort of thing, but if you are there in the system, it is as good as a government medical college. And as you know, any of the government job.
So life was almost sorted.
Yes.
Right. You are working as an assistant professor in medical college, the routine and yes, was going on. You were might be happy in that career journey. Then why and how come, that switch or what surrounding?
So the thing is, during my tenure as assistant professor there in Junagadh, the things were pretty good. I'd been teaching students every year. New set of students used to come, and I was doing all the things professor would be doing there in medical college. I was taking lectures, I was teaching them, I was involved in all the departmental work.
Yeah.
But the thing is, as it is there in the government setup in our country as well as in our state, things were quite monotonous, and particularly in academia, as you also must be knowing, things are quite monotonous. Like you would be doing the same work every year, repeat and repeat. And when it comes to your professional growth, the professional growth is not that
almost more or less almost same. I mean, every medical college, everything.
It is same. It is same. And for that matter, it is same for all the government institutions. If you are in any sort of government job, it is almost same for everywhere.
So when that thought of, and how that thought to move out of this part.
Sure. So see, what happens is, as I was saying, I was doing the same work every year. And there was nothing actually to upgrade myself, right?
Okay.
So initially when I passed out from post-graduation, of course, as like any freshly passed out postgraduate, medical postgraduate, my mindset was also like that I would be doing some new work, I would be doing some research work, I would be contributing to the faculty, right? Like the anatomy subject.
Yeah.
And I try to keep myself updated to the recent developments of anatomy. But when you see the actual case, there is nothing there to apply your updated knowledge, right? Because you are not going to teach the MBBS students something extraordinary or something so recent, which is not relevant to them.
Okay.
Particularly when it is coming up to passing the anatomy subject, they need to
Yeah.
know what they are supposed to know. They are not supposed to know the recent most developments.
Yeah.
So there, I could not find anything, any opportunity
Okay.
to apply my updated knowledge. At the same time, I also tried to keep myself engaged in some research work. But again, as our medical system is there right now, first I was not having the latest of the facilities. Because this is how almost all of
system
our government
works,
medical colleges are, right?
Yes.
At the same time, there was no specific guidance also, because if I am there into something, I need to be guided.
Yeah.
But there was not that sort of facilities. Second most important thing, which is again applicable to all the sort of government jobs, that your career growth. So whenever somebody is thinking about their career growth, it ultimately jots down to two things. First, economical benefits, of course, financial benefits, like
Financial,
how much you are growing into your salaries,
and
as well as your positional growth.
yeah.
So when it comes to government job, any government job, not just medical, it is tenure based. It is
Yes.
not your performance based, right?
Yes, yes.
So it is not like that if you are performing very high,
It's a
so you would
fixed
be rewarded.
criteria. How many? No, I think 5 years of assistant manager, then only associate, and then
So yes,
and that's the
so it is
typical,
as I said, it is tenure based.
tenure based,
So
yeah.
if you are working as assistant professor and you also are having a colleague who is also assistant professor, and there is a vacancy as associate professor, so as you said, you have to have at least 4 or 5, I don't remember exactly, but it is 4 or 5 years of
Yeah.
experience as assistant professor.
Then only
Now
Yeah.
in these two people, like me and my colleague, for example, he is a very hardworking fellow, for example, very hardworking. He is occupied 9 to 5, almost in one or the other activity, and he's doing very fine. And I am a typical government person who is not doing anything, not at all, nothing. Still, if I am a day senior to him, I'd be eligible for that promotion first.
Yeah.
So again, as I said, promotional hierarchical growth is not depending upon your work. Second, even if you are a hardworking fellow and your colleague is not a hardworking fellow, then also at the end of the year, the appraisal that you are getting will be same for everybody,
Yes.
right? Same
Yes,
for
yes,
everybody.
same,
So again,
the percentage of
yeah.
salary increments, that's the fixed.
So
same.
both of these things are not getting sufficed, particularly if you are a hardworking person and if you are of thought process that I have something in me which I can encash.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So if I so at that very point, my thought process was that I have something, I have capacity to work hard, and if I'm working hard during my job time, I should be rewarded accordingly, right?
Yes.
Otherwise, there is no meaning of putting some extra effort.
Yes.
So at that point of time, I had two choices. Like first, I can be a regular government person. I can get myself engaged into the regular work and continue and sit comfortably. I'd be getting my salary regularly and all those things. Second, I had the capacity to work hard. I had that will also, and I had all the mindset. So I should be
basically the change mindset.
Yes,
should be there.
So I should be going at a place wherein I am rewarded according to how I am performing.
Yeah,
that was not getting there in the government job. So that was the main thing. And at the same time, academia becomes at times monotonous, and monotony ultimately gets converted into boringness. So these were the things at during that tenure of mine, which actually led to this thought of changing the whole stream and getting out of the typical academia profession. Right?
Okay.
So this was it.
Fine. So how come pharmaceutical only? I mean, you want to change your stream. There are other options also. What attracts you, or what makes you to go for these pharmaceutical things as a medical advisor or any?
So at that time, as you said, so these were the factors in my mind, right? These were constantly running, and I was actually looking out for multiple options, like what extra I can do. So initially, I thought of some things like some things to do with the anatomy stream only, because
Yes.
as I said, it is my preliminary specialty. So initially I thought of that see, as government servant, I had a good amount of time spared.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So during even 9 to 5 also, after I'm done with my departmental duties, I had
You have
a
some
lot of
spare time,
time.
so you.
So initially I thought of getting engaged into some extra educational activity. There were people, some of my colleagues, not from the same college,
Yes,
but
yeah.
in the country, who were associated with one or the other institute to teach students. Like for example, if the students are preparing for All India entrance
Yeah,
examination for
entrance
post
exam,
graduation,
yeah.
right? So there are some tuitions ongoing, some classes ongoing, and they used to provide their services
Okay.
there. So I thought of that also. And there were some other things,
Okay.
because even anatomy has multiple sub branches. Like for
Yes.
example, if somebody wants to pursue some stream in embryology,
Embryology.
so
Yeah.
there is one thing, person can get himself enrolled into embryology and be an embryologist,
Yes.
who would be then having a career into infertility practices
Yes.
and all those things.
Okay.
So one
Yeah.
was there. Second was this tuition thing or classes thing. Then there is again a good stream, which is genetics. So
Okay.
genetics
Yeah.
is again a branch which is somewhere associated with anatomy. So I can explore
Yeah.
that also. But again, as I said in sometimes back, like infrastructure in, not, I would not say country, but at least in my area or maybe in Gujarat, it is not that much robust to get you fully trained
Yeah.
into maybe embryology or genetics, right? Because we don't have any dedicated institute to be an embryologist or
Okay.
to go further with the
Yeah, and
genetics.
that too before 4 5 years or so, I think.
10 years.
10 years. Okay.
10 years.
Almost. Yeah.
So I
We are
graduate.
talking about in 2012, 13,
I
14.
completed my post graduation in 2013, and I started my assistant professorship at 2014. So somewhere around 9 years back.
Yeah.
So that time it was not that
yes,
robust. I don't
okay.
know about current scenario, but that time it was definitely
Yes.
not there, at least in our state.
Hmm.
At the same time, I also explored something related to stem cell therapy.
Yeah,
Stem cell therapy was
that's
an
again
emerging.
new emerging.
Yes.
Yeah,
Today also stem cell is not
it's
that
still,
much.
yes,
It is
still,
still emerging,
and it's a futuristic
futuristic one.
speciality.
Yeah.
That's your.
And it has got a huge scope, but again, a lack of infrastructure, lack of guidance, because if you want to pursue your career with something related to
Yeah.
stem cells, you have to have a good
Yeah,
strong
and
guide.
you need no kind of if you want to pursue such kind of speciality which is developed in the Western countries, you need to travel there for training. You need to spend 1 or 2 year, and that again the economical and financial aspect you need
So
to
again, in
consider.
line with the same thing,
Yeah.
I got in touch with there was a doctor who is from Ahmedabad only, but now settled there in USA. I'm forgetting, Mr. Dev Patel or something.
Okay.
I am forgetting his name. I actually got in touch with him. I explored the things, and again, it involved this thing like going over to there and
Yes,
do the
yes.
things. So it was not feasible for me. So like while going through, this was an ongoing
Yes,
process,
yes,
right? It was an ongoing process along with my regular things. I was somewhat doing these things also. And meanwhile, I have a few of my friends who were working into pharmaceutical industries.
Okay.
So and then again, they are into different roles into
Roles
pharmaceutical
in
industry.
pharma,
So through them, I got introduced to this field, pharmaceutical industry, and how a medical professional can make some difference in there. So after that, I started exploring what a medical professional, medical graduate or postgraduate can do in the pharmaceutical industry and find himself or herself a career. So after that, I started exploring. So again, at that time, I didn't have any link. So as to I knew there is something which I can do in the pharmaceutical industry, but I didn't know how to go for that or how
how to start. The
to
first
start
step
or-
is always
and then how to even
difficult.
identify.
Where to, yeah.
So again, for example, if there is a person who has just passed out of medical school, MBBS he has completed, and he wants to explore like what he can do in pharmaceutical industry. Actually, nobody knows.
Yes,
Like, how can I know?
And even to get that thought that
Exactly.
yes, I can also do something, or I can get an opportunity in pharmaceuticals also.
Yeah.
So that kind of, I'm sure that the environment in medical college, we all are surrounded by
True.
the doctors, medical professionals, and we thought about clinical and non-clinical things and career opportunities. So
So
that thought is important.
thought is important.
Someone who
So at that point of time, for example, through my these friends, I got myself introduced to these things,
yeah,
but I didn't know what are the opportunities, what are the job roles
Yes.
wherein I can fit myself.
Yeah.
Right. So what I did is I first of all made an account on LinkedIn. I went
Okay.
through all the opportunities, job listings. Through that, I actually got to know that these are the things
different job
wherein
roles and
they would be, they would be requiring an MBBS, right?
Yeah.
Because in LinkedIn you also must have seen
Yes.
that they give the whole job profile
Yeah.
and as well as the qualification that they are seeking. So through that, I actually came to know about various job functions wherein medical graduates are required, and then I went through the whole job descriptions of everywhere, all the each
Yes. In fact,
job posting.
that we are doing it right now. The exercise is going on Docthub jobs. We are preparing such every type of job roles, whether it is routine, commonly seen, and such kind of uh, very rare or few professionals available, but such job roles is there. Futuristic job roles also we are preparing it, and detailed job description and opportunities part, the information part,
So that's quite good.
by
So
next month would be, in by October 2023 we are
that's quite
launching
good.
that
See,
job roles.
why it is required and why it is good is because, as you said sometimes back, in our medical school, in our medical curriculum, nobody teaches us to
Yes.
go for these
Go
things,
for
right?
these things.
Normally, in our times when we used to study, there was only one goal. Like, if, for example, if you are getting the first rank, for example, in the whole post graduation entrance, you are invariably going to take radiologist. That is, you don't have any
Because everybody surrounded you, they will say first is radiology.
radiology
If
only.
that close, if you are surgical in interest,
Then
go for
orthopedics.
orthopedics.
So these
And,
were the again the mindset.
if you are in a medicine mindset, go for MD medicine, and
So-
then pediatrics, and it's
So,
just fix.
Normally, all the medical students are typecasted into one or the other role,
Yes.
and nobody actually these days look beyond that.
different-
Look beyond. So nobody would look beyond that. And when it comes to other job functions other than the traditional medical functions,
Yeah.
it requires a whole lot of different preparations. Like, for example, if you talk about this pharma industry, for example, um, at the very first step, for example, if there is a person who decides that he wants to pursue a career in pharmaceutical industry, so first he would be searching for the vacancies. At the first step, people don't know how to search for
How
that.
to search.
Somehow he is, let us say, finding one in one good company. There is a requirement, it
Yeah.
matches his skills and all those things. First thing he requires is a decent CV.
Yes, even most of the doctors, medical students,
This is
they are not good at,
yes.
as like other industry we see, tech industry and some creative and media people. They can create their short and sweet good CV. We still, I understand.
So we
I
are not
face
taught
that particular
Of course.
part. We don't know how to use
So we are
Excel
not used
sheet,
to that, no?
how to use Microsoft Word
Exactly.
in a good enough to prepare a decent CV and all.
Exactly. So this is the very first step. The
Yes.
person is going to require a CV,
Yes.
and CV is the first face of the person. So
yes.
person is of course not going to go there physically. So CV would be that person.
And I have seen that why doctors need not to create such kind of creative or different decent CV is because when you pass your MD, MS, a simple ordinary information of you call it biodata or CV or resume, it enough, because there are demand and supply gap in hospital industry. It is there. So never, I think, till now, we as a medical professional didn't face the such kind of things where you need to create first impression to the HR so that you get an attention and you get into this consideration and
Of
all.
course.
Because if you apply any MS, MD or DM, MCH doctor, even MBBS doctor, if any of the hospital at any point of time in a year, they need MBBS doctors
Of
and
course.
medical officers. So
So
practically
this is the first thing, of course.
मेडिकल प्रोफेशनल्स के लिए ये एक नीड कभी आई ही नहीं, क्योंकि आपको इजीली
And-
जॉब तो मिल जाएगा.
And traditionally, any doctor who is there in MBBS or maybe doing post graduation or super specialty, he was never supposed to appear for an interview. Because as soon as he is completing his post graduation or super specialty, he is either going to join a hospital or going to have his own clinic or hospital or something.
or joining senior or
So
as a
he was
fellow.
never supposed to face an interview or appear for an interview. So we are never taught about the importance of the CV, how to make an impactful CV, and how to make it crisp at the same time informative. So this is the first thing.
This again, we are launching it for the healthcare professionals. Resume builder on Docthub. They can just give the information just like their profile and add the information, and they can download the decent, impressive CV through Docthub. That we are launching it in again in October only. We are also planning to set up, so that they need not to go for detail. If you are not knowing any Microsoft Word or document,
Then also you would work.
you can easily prepare it, just giving an information, and few templates are there, and he can
So this would be
simply
important,
he can download easily. So we are making it somewhat easy for healthcare professionals.
Of course.
Not only for doctors, even nurses and
Everywhere,
paramedicals
everywhere.
are also finding difficulties in creating
Of course,
this CV.
and that is actually that will be very much helpful for the upcoming doctors, because now in particularly, even if the person is not going to not thinking of joining some other out of the scope job functions, even for current times, the corporate hospitals and everything, it is quite well system driven and everything. So these things are going to come into the medical field also. So as I was saying, CV was the first thing.
Yes.
Everywhere anybody would be facing that. Again, at the same time, after that there would be interview, right? Any doctor, MBBS or postgraduate, or anyone, if somebody wants to join a pharma industry or for that matter any other, they have to go through a robust, stringent interview process. And again,
there is a step by step interview
interviews, of
process,
course.
right?
So
there is not only one interview. There might be step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So there are a series of interviews which would be examining you, which would be evaluating you in every aspects, and then you would be getting selected.
So
after those
just to know if MBBS graduate or any medical student, if they are thinking about such kind of career in pharmaceutical, what skills, because if I want to decide to go for pharmaceutical, I need to self-evaluate whether I am fit, or my mindset or my skill is fit for that role or not. So how can I evaluate?
Okay. So before coming over to that, what one can find like as a career, right? So if somebody wants to go for this pharmaceutical industry, there are multiple job functions wherein one can think of, or one can start evaluating.
Okay.
So first is the mainstream one, which is wherein I am working, is called as medical affairs or medical services or medico marketing. So these are few names for the same function.
Medical advisor.
Yes, medical advisor. So these are the same names for this job function wherein I am working. Terminologies wherein I am working. At the same time, there is a whole lot of a semi-pharmaceutical industry, which is CRO.
Which is just to it's a clinical research organizations.
Yes.
Right?
So these are the people, these are the companies who are doing the clinical trials. So there also, it is clinical trials, so they would be requiring medical doctors.
Yes.
In principle, they would require MD pharmacologists, but at the same time, MBBS also would be there to get absorbed. There are some functions like medical monitor, sometimes in some sort of trials as investigator. At the same time, they need to write multiple things. Like, for example, if a trial is going to get conducted, they would be requiring a protocol, they would be requiring a final publication, draft, manuscripts. There are a lot of things.
Clinical data manager.
Yes. So they would be requiring a team of medical writers. So
Okay,
what medical writers are supposed to do, they would be writing all those things into medical terminologies. So like the protocol of trial, how the trial is
Research
going to
protocol,
get
trial
conducted.
protocols.
After the trial, the data compilation at the same. After that, if the trial is going to get converted into a publication, so a manuscript of publication, so that
Research article kind of
article.
thing. So thesis,
Yes,
it's a kind of
research
thesis or
articles.
research article.
Preliminary research article, because
Research
when the
article is
CRO.
the terminology for
So
that part.
these are a few job functions which are there with CRO, right? When it comes to core pharma, so this is the field wherein I am. And so, sorry, before coming over to that, in the previous one, you need to have a good understanding of clinical trials.
Yes.
So if we are
If
talking
you
about
want to
CRO,
work in CRO,
CRO.
then,
So it is again not that difficult. Of course, one would be thinking, I don't know anything about clinical trials, and particularly during our UG courses, we are not taught that much
Yeah.
into detail about
Okay.
clinical trials. We would be knowing some few basic things, but there are multiple courses which are available. Some diploma courses, some
and
certificate
such
courses.
courses, what if you can give few examples? It is based on pharmacovigilance or what?
So there are some courses in diploma in pharmacovigilance, diploma in clinical trials are there. So there are
Yes.
all these sort of
Okay. And
different
might
courses are
be
available.
diploma in drug regulatory affairs
It
and
could
all.
it could be
Is it
there.
related to that or
Somewhat, not that much, because drug
Okay.
regulatory would be a whole lot of different things.
different
Wherein
things apart from this?
medical
Okay.
would
So
not be up to that much.
basically, it is clinical research, clinical trial,
And pharmacovigilance.
pharmacovigilance.
Yes.
These are the three keywords
Course.
based on whether it is PG diploma or certificate
either.
or a
Yes.
fellowship courses
Of course,
or
of course.
different titles.
So I don't know that segregation,
yes.
like what are available,
yes.
but these are the
Fine.
things
Got it.
available which would make a person eligible for these
Eligible
things. Because
for
what you
this.
need to know, because of course, as an MBBS graduate,
Yes.
you would be knowing almost all the medical things, and over and above that, what extra you need, that would be sufficed by these courses.
Yes.
So one need to do that, and these are again not lengthy courses, right? And there are some of the
6
courses,
months, 1 year.
hardly. If the
courses,
course is that large, like that long, again it would be distance.
Yeah.
There are all the facilities.
Otherwise,
are available.
certificate courses are like around 3 to 6 months
Maybe
or so.
around, yes. But that would make you eligible for application
this.
into
Yes,
these courses. When it as you asked about like what skills
The
people would be
skills.
requiring, but for all these functions you have to be quite a good with using laptops, using softwares.
Okay.
And the core software, the least you would be knowing would be MS Office. At least you should be pro with using MS Office, right? And particularly PPT, Microsoft PowerPoint, Word, and Excel.
Yeah.
So
three are basic.
if I can say, they are sort of compulsory to have the basic knowledge and to use it in the day-to-day life. But that is a must sort of thing. At the same time, when it comes to my job function wherein I am working, which is medical affairs or medical advisor or medical marketing, this is sort of marketing role, but with a scientific touch. So if I can elaborate upon that, as I said, it is called as medico marketing role. Now, when it comes to pharmaceutical industries, they are selling drugs, right? And our potential customers are, of course, doctors. So they, as a company, need to talk with the customer
person who can
in the scientific
engage
language.
in a scientific language. We can connect.
Yes, then only
with
they
the
would be
team,
connecting. No,
obviously.
then only they would be connecting.
Yeah.
So, pharmaceutical company, as a company, they need to talk in medical language with their customer, who are doctors,
Yes.
to have an impact
Yeah.
and to praise their products and whatever.
And at least to reach out their probable consumers in a better way,
Of course.
whether it is from a writing or a communication, verbal, whatever the communication channel we use, but at least their person should be there with a medical background.
Of course.
To
If I want to give an example, for example, if you take the instance of HP makes laptops and everything.
Yes.
So the person who is selling HP laptops, that person is supposed to know a lot of the things about that laptop. Then only he would be able to sell that, right? So pharmaceutical company also would require medical people to set their marketing style or marketing communication and all those activities, because only medical person would be able to guide them about how to promote that.
Okay.
So the role of the medical advisor would be on that front, that a
Okay.
medical advisor would be guiding the company about how to promote their products, with what scientific points, what scientific data. He would be again guiding the company about the recent developments in the field, because again company needs to be aware,
Keep on
needs to be
updating
updated.
new
Yeah.
drugs and new molecules, and what
Yes.
research should be we focus on, which diseases we should focus on.
Yeah.
For upcoming.
So that is there. We are also supposed to have a good contact and rapport with the leading practitioners of the countries and all those things. So a medical advisor has to have a good medical knowledge. Second important thing is a good using capabilities of laptops and internet, because then only that person would be able to get the new literature, that person would be able to keep himself updated, then only he would be able to give
present
advice.
data, present.
So that would be then that's
required.
medical advisor will be communicating, will be interacting with whole lot of people, right from a medical representative to a marketing team to the doctors, and that to the leaders of that specialty
Yes.
across the country.
Yeah.
Right. So that person has to have a very strong and sound communication skill.
Okay.
Okay, if a person, if there is a student, medical student, who is quite good in communication, and when I say communication, it is interpersonal communication, communication with your teachers, your professors, communication with your juniors, and everywhere.
Yeah.
He is a good orator. He has got a good stage experience, like for
Yes.
in regular functions and everywhere. If that person is not afraid of getting on the stage and deliver a talk or something, he would be an ideal fit for this role, because again in this
Yes.
function also he would be doing the same thing.
Same. Yeah.
He would be having a
You need
good
to-
communication,
yeah, good
right?
communication.
At the same time, that person would be the fourth skill. First was medical knowledge, second was pro with the digital things,
and-
third is the communication skill, fourth is he has to have a good presentation skill, right? Because you would be giving a whole lot of presentation about something new product that your company is supposed to launch, presentation about your existing products, presentation about your trainings, presentation to the doctors. There would be many instances wherein medical advisors are delivering lectures in the CME, wherein the audience is the practicing doctors.
Yeah.
So you have to have that presentation skill there also, which is again you can
Yeah.
say subtype of communication skill,
Yes,
but
yes.
that is again
But,
a very much important thing. So if somebody is having at least these skills, then he would be a good ideal fit for this function. Of course, during this all these functions, like right, I talked about CRO and these things, as I very well in this talk initially said, you have to be working hard, you have to be performing.
Yeah.
Because this is not a typical government center
Yeah.
wherein you are not, even if you are not performing and are working, you would be getting good
Or even
amount of
like
salary.
for the academic also, there is a few set of format is there. Here in the corporate or in the pharmaceutical, where you are heading a particular product, the responsibility of that product on you, because you and your team, right? So that
Sense of responsibility is there, yes.
responsibility, right?
It is
Because it's a huge budget managing part, and everything is, I mean,
Of course.
it impacts a lot of things where you are presenting and you know part. So
And the person should be a good team worker,
yeah.
team player, because you would be working in a team. Of course, you would be given
your-
some set of
Yeah,
responsibilities.
your ability to convince, your ability
Yes.
to deal with,
Of course.
it's kind of basic managing people skill.
Managing people skill also would be coming on to you at some point of
Yeah.
time in your career.
That's
So if somebody is
required.
having these many skills, it would be quite good for him or her to
Yeah.
come into this
Okay.
specialty or job function.
So there is not mandatory of doing MBA for that role, right?
So this would be again some separate section. So if you say you are working in a medical team of a pharmaceutical company, the highest level on the hierarchical basis you can go is the medical director or medical head.
Okay, so at what level it start?
So
Which
If there
position?
is, if
Suppose of MBBS graduate, freshly passed out, no any other experience. He has completed his medical graduation. He got the medical registration and intensive has completed. Right now, if he want to start, so some skills, and he is applying for the basic first step one position in pharmaceutical.
So normally, from what I have seen and what I've experienced, a medical graduate would be getting a managerial position. So
Okay.
he might be starting from the position of manager.
Okay.
Sometimes in some organizations, he would be given assistant or deputy manager position, but mostly a manager position is there. And when I say manager, particularly in the medical field, it would not be manager. So that means a manager normally in corporate would be managing people.
Yes.
Right. So this is what you call a manager. But in medical sections, particularly, it would not be so in almost in all the companies. So normally managers in medical field would not be managing people. So higher hierarchical level would be having a team under them.
Okay.
But managers would not be there. But looking into the level of the
Level of
degrees
the-
and
yes.
the achievements, people would be giving, or people would be invariably starting from a managerial position.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is there. Now, as you were talking about MBA.
Yeah.
So as I was saying, in a medical team, you would be up to max going up to the head of the medical team level.
Yes.
So in a pharma company, a typical pharma company, the structure is like that. There are different divisions. So divisions like
Divisions of-
orthopedic
yeah,
division,
orthopedic,
or
cardiology,
gynae. Yes, likewise.
etc.
So in one particular division, if you talk about an orthopedic division, so these people would be having a good lot of orthopedic drugs that they would be selling to people. In this, there would be an HOD, the head of the division,
Okay.
whose responsibility would be to of the business of that division,
Yes.
like how that division is performing.
of performance of that division.
Performance division
And
would be the
what
responsibility of-
background and what that HOD or
So
that person
that would be
would be carrying.
that could be of anything. That could be of anything. That would be on the performance of that person. So
Okay,
as
so
far-
that can be pharmacy background or medical background or any MBA
mostly,
background.
as I've been seeing, many of them are pharmacy background,
Okay.
but many are not also. So it is
Okay.
not fixed. So
There
for
is
example,
no any
if you-
such fixed
No.
criteria.
if you want to get into a medical team, in the current times, you have to have at least an MBBS degree. There are a good scope for MPharms also, but
Okay.
majoritarily this would be the
Yes,
preliminary
medical.
requirement for a medical team. But the same is not true for the other other positions, right? But as I was saying, in the department or in the division, there would be a head of the division. Under him, there would be mainly two. What you call it, vertical or
Verticals
two,
or two-
strata.
yeah.
One would be marketing, or one would be sales.
Sales. Yeah.
So sales people would be having all the hierarchy,
Yeah.
and ultimately they would be selling the drugs.
Yeah, distributors and retailers, and then
All
that's
the
their responsibility part.
Their main responsibility would be to sell the
Sell
drug to the
drugs.
doctors.
Yeah.
In this thing, marketing, there are product management team. There would be one
Yeah.
marketing head, would be having a team to manage the products. So these team would be deciding upon the strategies, like how to promote their drug,
Promotions,
what would be their
exhibitions,
communication,
and
so what would be their
Yeah.
communication, what would be their activities to engage doctors.
Yeah.
So in the sort of conference participations, yeah, or CMEs. So likewise, so this would be the job of marketing.
Yeah.
For multiple divisions, normally how it is like, for example, let's say you are having orthopedic, then cardiology division, diabetology division, or endocrine division, then gynecology division. So these all are sort of specialty divisions.
Yeah.
So you can call it as specialty vertical.
Yeah.
So this vertical would be having a vertical head,
Yes.
whose responsibility would be of the business of these four divisions.
Yes.
Similarly, there would be a generic division also, for example, maybe whose customer
Generic
would be
drugs.
all the general practitioners, maybe.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
likewise,
yeah.
there are multiple things for all the Indian business of that company. So that would include the specialty business, the acute business, chronic business, then this generic, all those things. That would be headed by one person, maybe would be of the position president or CEO or CEO, or there would be different categories or different positions, but there would be one person who would be responsible for the business
All the
of
divisions and
all the divisions,
all the
maybe
products
all the country, across the country,
across.
because that
So,
company.
such kind of position like CEO or a VP, vice president, like, or maybe a president or kind of positions, right?
So
Okay.
that person would be responsible, as I said, for the India business.
Okay. Yeah.
And if the company is having overseas business, then they would be having the according heads.
Okay.
Right now, how the people reach up to that top. So medical is a side function
Okay.
in this
So
hierarchical
all
structure.
these divisions are there. How your vertical is medical affairs or medical marketing things, and these are these
Different
4 5
verticals, yeah.
verticals, right? So your role with this vertical is
So
how?
in present time, how the most of the companies work is they would be having a separate medical team, would be having n number of
And who will be dealing with all the divisions?
they would have been allocated single or multiple divisions per head.
Or a head.
So, for example, if I am a medical advisor in one company's a medical team, I might be having 1 or 2 or 3 divisions to look after.
Okay.
So, for example, if I am given orthopedic and cardiodiabetic division, then I am responsible for all the scientific activities of these divisions.
Okay.
My colleague would be looking after gynecology. The
Other
colleague
divisions
would be looking after.
If that division products are big, so
They would
will
be
be
couple of-
single person will be handling that medical.
And these all people of medical team would be having a head who would be looking after all the medical activities
all the
of
medical
companies.
things.
But these functions, medical function, is what you call it, a para function. It is not a direct contributor to the business of the company.
Yeah.
Because we are not.
We have a support role.
We are the support
functioning.
So
role.
medical is a support function, and support function supports. So they are not the preliminary revenue generating function. And if you are not revenue generating function, you would not be reaching to the top of the hierarchy. So, for example, because I am not having that skill set, right?
Okay.
Because if you ask a medical doctor to go and sell some drugs, so he would not be able to look after that function. So if a medical professional is also having an MBA degree, right? So he is having a good acumen in doing business. So he can start from getting into the marketing
or
function,
sales or
marketing function. So wherein he would be looking after these products along with how they are doing in the business.
Okay.
And a marketing person would be responsible for the business also. So once he is doing good in the function, in the job function of marketing, and now if a medical person enters into marketing job function, he would become a lethal person. Like it is the what do you call it, business who is running on the medical background. This person knows almost everything about that thing. Along with that, he has got the business sense also.
Yeah.
So he would be the most
adding value.
The most ideal combination that person would be having. So once he is doing good and getting good experience in the marketing field, he can escalate himself up to marketing head and then the divisional head, and then the sky would be the limit, right?
Yeah.
So if you are talking about a specific or only medical function, of course you would be earning good, you would be having a good, all the things are quite good. But if you are thinking of going up and up, then there would be a cap in the medical field.
So for in that case, MBA would be
would be very much required. So if at all you want to enter into that league, you have to have an MBA.
And what could be the starting salary range? We can for after MBBS if someone is joining.
So that would vary according as per different companies. But if I give you a common range or a vague range, an MBBS, a freshly passed out who is joining a medical advisor or medical affairs division, he would be earning somewhere around 12 to 14 lakhs per annum.
So almost I think 90,000 to 1 lakh per month.
Almost around, yes.
Right, and that's the benchmark, right?
Yes.
And then
it is going
to get manager, senior manager, and then AG.
It is going to get
higher,
upwards only. Yes, higher only.
Yes.
So it is so it is a quite a good, yes, quite a
career
good options. But the thing is, people don't know much.
Yes.
People don't know, and they don't have that
still
idea.
there is an hesitation to leave that clinical aspect and that medical comfort zone of, I would say, the comfort zone of our medical fraternity.
It is it is
That moving from that medical surroundings to your pharma sector, or because where I I am not knowing much people, I feeling outsider, maybe there is no any approachable people where I can hang out and I can know about these things. That might be there, but once it is no, if one can break these things, definitely there is
so
a
this
good
feeling
opportunity
of
there.
that I am outsider or I don't know much or nobody would be acknowledging my presence there. This is because we don't know about these things.
No, yes.
Otherwise, after coming into this field, what I have seen and what I have observed is a pharma company, a good reputed big pharma company, cannot run without a medical team, because they would require it. Because if, for example, if there is a company who is having a product, let's say even what you call it, aceclofenac, for example.
Yes.
If that company wants to promote aceclofenac, they have to have some medical points of aceclofenac. Then only they will be
Yes.
talking about that product, right? So for that they require a medical person, and there are huge scopes. And the good part is medical doctors are regarded with quite huge repute and regard in almost all the companies that I have seen. So it is not like we are outsiders. Industry needs doctor, and if people start having this thought process of getting out of the typecasted medical profession, there are good opportunities. And if you talk about the traditional medical practice, so again, in current times, it is not that lavish as it was in the previous times. Previous times it was like if you have done MS Ortho or MD Medicine and you start your clinic or nursing home, it is going to
Yes.
be
It was
working
very
fine.
good. No, good.
So there was not that much
But
of competition.
now there
no?
is in tier 2 cities, if we see, there is saturation part is there.
course.
In the,
Of course. So that traditional practice is not as it was previously, let's say 10, 15, 20 years back.
Yes.
It is not the scene. Right now there is lots of competition,
Competition.
lots of people are there.
responsibilities.
There are much of the things.
other
At the same time, the drainage area for a particular doctor is also getting sequestered. Because initially, for example, if you talk about Ahmedabad, if there is a neurosurgeon who is practicing in Ahmedabad, he would be getting his patients almost from all the peripheries. People would be pouring in from Palanpur or maybe XYZ cities. But now,
Yeah.
it
But
is
there
not
is
so.
because in their cities, small towns, there are specialist
There
doctor
are.
available. So that way also some practice as compared to last 10 years. Today, of course, new things has emerged. I mean, there are different. I will not say challenges, but different scenarios being
Different
developed.
scenario, and they are
Different
ultimately
scenarios.
challenges
So you
only.
need to deal, yes, of course.
They are
End of
ultimately
the day,
challenges.
it's
A
a
person
challenge.
needs to survive in this
Yes,
competitive
of course, and
environment.
because if you say the city like Mumbai or Delhi or Bangalore, in Ahmedabad also now, the super specialist doctor initial phase of 5 years of their practice, it's quite difficult and
It's quite
challenging also, because he need to run, he need
course.
to get there. It doesn't mean that you have done your super specialty degree from big institute.
Yeah.
It doesn't make on practical world you need to prove, you need to
Of course.
convince
Convince people, and
people.
organization
You need
also
to
because-
show your
Yeah.
skills and demonstrate, and you need to aggressively work on your things. So that is
there.
again,
It is very much there, and because of that, what happens is, like, for example, if there is a doctor and he wants to settle compulsorily in Ahmedabad only, he would be facing a lot of difficulties because lots of competition is here, and if at all he wants to make his career little bit smoother, he has to go to maybe tier 2 or tier 3 cities, wherein there is some requirement, right? But as opposed to that, if you are coming into some pharmaceutical industry, you would be working for a pharmaceutical company maybe, and medical team is housed in the headquarter only, because every pharmaceutical company would be having a headquarter, and a team would be working there only. So a medical person in a medical team of any pharmaceutical company would be more or less living in a tier 1 city only.
Yes.
Because even
Most of the pharma companies, their
Almost all.
headquarters are almost
all
in that
So,
such city only.
a company of this size who are having a good developed medical team would be in a grade A city only. So if you count the companies, you would be having a lot of pharmaceutical big companies in Ahmedabad.
Yeah.
There are a couple of those in Baroda.
But,
Majority of the companies, multinational companies, Indian multinationals, they are housed in Mumbai,
Mumbai, yeah.
some in Pune, Hyderabad, Bangalore,
Yeah.
some in Gurgaon, Delhi. But these are the top cities of the country.
Yes.
You need not to compromise your quality of life. On the contrary, by entering into this corporate field, your quality of life would be increasing one or two notches. That would be a huge difference. That
Yes.
would be a huge difference that somebody would be facing and feeling, that their quality of life drastically
Yeah,
improves.
of course. I mean, so the medical graduates, I'm sure there are nowadays MBBS graduates are also, there are few are looking for civil services, people are joining. So that way the mindset and people are thinking in a different way. But hope so that
Yep.
more and more medical graduates will be start exploring other opportunities, other streams.
That
and-
open-mindedness is very much required. It has to be there.
And there are 18 healthcare sectors in healthcare industry. So there are so many things is there still. Every field where medical graduate can create an impact.
Of course,
So-
and huge impact.
So yeah. So thank you very much, Dr. Mohit, for your time and your sharing your experience with the audience.
Sure. Thank you for it.
And definitely it will helpful to the healthcare fraternity.
Yes, let's hope so, and let's hope people start thinking out of the
Out of
box
box.
and they grow. Thank you so much.